Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, May the 2nd. It's about 9:55 a.m. in the morning. I'm going to start off with the sound saying, coming from Galatians 6:9, and it says, "And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." So don't get discouraged in your well-doing. Keep doing good. And in due season, and that due season is God's time, not our time. Because our time, we want we want what we asked for yesterday. And if we couldn't get it yesterday, we'll take it today. But it doesn't work like that. Our blessings come to us in God's time. That's why it says in due season. That refers to His time. He will reward you for your good doing. Okay? So don't faint. Don't get discouraged. Don't slow down. Just keep up the pace. And know that God is watching all the time. And in due season, when you least expect it, He will give you your due reward. Now we're talking about good things we do now, not that which is evil. And yes, if you do evil in due season, you will get that as well. And that won't be as pleasant as a good reward. Matthew 5:6 says, "Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled." What do they hunger and thirst after? Righteousness. Not lust, not money, not pleasures, not riches. Hunger and thirst after righteousness. So when you are hungry and thirsty for that which is righteous, you are hungry and thirsty for the knowledge of God. Okay? Not for the knowledge of fake gods, for the knowledge of the true only God of this earth. And when you are hungry and thirsty, you shall be filled. Okay, that's what that says. Blessed. You are blessed if you become hungry for these things, for those things which are righteous. That makes you blessed. You are not blessed if you hunger and thirst after riches, lust, pleasures, and things of that nature. That hunger and thirst must be for righteousness alone. Right? So blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Okay? And that is a what? A promise. You will receive it. Right? So I found some notes that I did not highlight it. Doesn't mean I didn't give it to you. It just meant that I might have given it to you and didn't highlight it. So today we are going to make sure we highlight these things. And they're just a little clippings of notes I take here and there, as you already know. So let's start with this one up here. Luke 10:17 says, "The 72 returned with joy and said, Lord, even the demons subject to us in your name." The Lord responded by telling them they should not be thrilled over that. They should be thrilled that their name is written in the book. Okay, so they were excited, but He quickly corrected them and where their excitement should lie. Okay. Romans 13:1 says, "Everyone must subject himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God." So this authority you are to be minding forevermore, for He is the greatest authority in the land. not your politicians or your leaders. God. All right? Highlight that. Luke 10:20 says, however, do not rejoice that the Spirit is subject to you, but rejoice that your names are written in heaven. Yes, this is what Jesus said to them after they came in being excited over the demons being subjected to them. That is a beautiful thing. However, it's more beautiful to know that your name is in that book. All right? 1 Corinthians 15:28, when he had done this, when the Son himself will be made subject to him, who put everything under him, so that God may be in awe. And God is in awe. Good, bad, or indifference. When something good happens in this world, he is in it. In your life, he is in it. Something bad happens in this world, he has established it. In your life, it has been established for a purpose. Okay? Everything is for a purpose. Of course, with the story of Joseph, when his brothers did that horrible thing and sold him to foreigners, that was a terrible thing, but it was for a purpose. It was the beginning of his training. And it ended up being a very good purpose indeed. Okay, so don't always look at things that happen in your life that are negative or bad as a curse unto thee or a punishment. There is a purpose for everything God does. All right? So just hang in there, continue to do good, and faint not. All right? For the reason for the situation will come to pass. Okay? God does not do things just to be punishing us. He loves us too much. He'd rather not punish us. Right? But when he needs to get our attention, he knows just how to do it. All right, Ephesians 5:24. Now, as the church subjects to Christ, so also wives should subject to their husband in everything. Husband, love your wives as Christ loved the church and give himself up for her. Humble yourself, therefore. Huh? Okay, love your wives. Be grateful for them. Don't change on them. God does not change like that. His love is genuine. Your love for your wives should be genuine. Okay, and forgetting not to use the spirit of forgiveness towards each other, as God forgives us when we kneel and ask for his forgiveness. Not just wives and husband, families should also learn to be forgiving of one another. But this is something you must teach your children. Yes, this is something good you can teach your children. Racism is not good to teach your children. Okay, 1 Peter 5:5. Humble yourself, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. And the God of grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a while. So you hear that? You have suffered a while. Training camp means suffering a little bit, struggle a little bit. But in it all, hold on to your anchor and know that there is a light at the end of that tunnel. Okay? There was something someone said on the radio the other day. Let's see if I can remember it. I believe I heard it from Steve Harvey. It's never too late to start all over. Your age has nothing to do with when to start all over. You can start all over at any age. It is never too late to start all over. Never. It's always too early to quit. Got it? Never too late to start all over. It's always too early to quit. Actually, I like it. It's never too late to start all over. Quitting is not an option. I like that one better. That means that you are not to go towards that lane that says quitting. It's not an option. All right? We'll stop here and continue tomorrow with some more notes. All right, let's read from Mark 3 today. And we're going to take a stroll with the Lord today. We're reading from Mark. Let's see what it says here about Mark, if it's anything special. I like this book because sometimes it gives us a little bit more detail into the reading. Let me first find it. Oh, there you are. Mark 3. Jesus heals on the Sabbath. Yes, he did a lot of healing on the Sabbath. The 12 apostles are appointed. Okay, this is at the beginning of his ministry that he began to choose his apostles. And the wonderful thing about the 12 apostles is that they weren't angels. And none of them were from among the Sadducees or the Pharisees. They were fishermen, tax collectors, doctors, an assortment of men. An assortment of men. Of course, during that time, we didn't have transgenders. And if we did, none of them would have been a transgender at all. Oh, Jesus. Sorry about that. All right. I bumped my little thing here. I have to remember not to move. You still with me? Cool. All righty. Let's begin. I'm reading it from the New International. It's not long at all. It's only 34 verses, and we should be able to get through it. Let's go. Another time he went into the synagogue, and a man with a shriveled hand was there. Some of them were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus. So they watched him closely to see if he would heal him on the Sabbath. They're always around Jesus. The Sadducees were always around this man, this holy man. Not because they care about anything that was coming out of his mouth. Not because their hearts were opened up to his teaching. They were simply looking for something to say against the man. Something to accuse him of. All the time. Had no real genuine interest in their shepherd. Didn't even recognize him. Acknowledge him. It didn't even matter what he did. This is what I call those that have sight, but yet they are blind. No spirit of discernment at all. Yet they sat in Moses' seat. So looking for a reason to accuse Jesus, so they watched him closely to see if he will heal him on the Sabbath. Jesus said to the man with the shriveled hand, "Stand up in front of everyone." Then Jesus asked them, "Which is lawful on the Sabbath?" He loves to ask questions. I love to ask questions too, but unfortunately he's not here for me to ask him questions at his knees. Okay. Jesus asked them, "Which is lawful on the Sabbath? To do good or to do evil?" What do you think? Which is better to do on a Sabbath day? Is it better to do something good or to do something evil? Save a life or to kill one? Which one is better? But they remained silent. Can you imagine? A simple question that they could not answer. It is always better to do good, whether it's a Sabbath or not. That's a very simple question. He looked around at them in anger and deeply distressed at their stubborn hearts, said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." He stretched it out, and his hand was completely restored. Then the Pharisees went out and began to plot with the Herodians how they might kill him. He did no harm that day. He did a straight up miracle. The arm was shriveled and it became whole in the presence of all. And yet for this miraculous act, death was his reward. Crowds followed Jesus. Jesus withdrew with his disciples to the lake, and a large crowd from Galilee followed. When they heard all he was doing, many people came to him from Judea, Jerusalem, Idumea, and the regions across the Jordan, and across Tyre and Sidon. Because of the crowd, he told his disciples to have a small boat ready for him to keep the people from crowding him. For he had healed many, so that those with disease were pushing forward to touch him. Whatever the evil spirits saw him, they fell before him and cried out, "You are the Son of God." Even the devil had greater respect for Jesus than the Sadducees and the Pharisees. Even Barabbas had greater respect for Jesus than those who sat in Moses' seat. But he gave them strict orders not to tell who he was, the appointing of the 12 apostles. Jesus went up on a mountainside and called to him those he wanted, and they came to him. He appointed 12, designating them apostles, that they may be with him and that he might send them out to preach and to have authority to drive out demons. These are the 12 he appointed: Simon, to whom he gave the name Peter, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John. To them he gave the name Boanerges, which means sons of thunder, Andrew, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. When Jesus entered a house, and again a crowd gathered, so that he and his disciples were not able to eat. When his family heard about this, they went to take charge of him, for they said he is out of his mind. Okay, that's almost calling him a lunatic. his brother James, his half-brother James, considered him a lunatic. Not for long, though. And the teachers of the law who came down from Jerusalem said, he is possessed by Beelzebub, by the prince of demons. He is driving out demons. So that Jesus called them and spoke to them in parables. How can Satan drive out Satan? If a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. That doesn't just apply to a kingdom, it also applies to a household, a family, a company, a nation of people. If a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand at all. If a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan opposes himself and is divided, he cannot stand. His end has come. In fact, no one can enter a strong man's house and carry off his possession unless he first ties up the strong man. Then he can rob his house. I tell you the truth, all the sins and blasphemies of men will be forgiven them. But whoever blasphemies against the Holy Spirit will never be forgiven. He is guilty of an eternal sin. He says this is because they were saying he has an evil spirit. Okay. Jesus' mother and brother. When Jesus' mother and brother arrived standing outside, they sent someone to call him. A crowd was sitting around him, and they told him, your mother and your brother are outside looking for you. Who are my mother and my brother? He asked. Then he looked at those seated in a circle around him and said, here is my mother and here's my brother. Whoever does God's will is my brother and sister and mother. What does that say? That means that you are not to be just concerned about your natural mother. Every woman who is the age of your mother is also your mother. You are to give her the same respect that you give your own mother. And we are all brothers and sisters to each other, whether we are a servant or a saint, period. All right? So let me repeat that last one. Who are my mother and my brother? He asked. Then he looked at those seated in a circle around him and said, here are my mother and my brothers. Whoever does God's will is my brother and my sister and mother. You notice that he didn't say father because he only has one. Thank you very much for joining us. As always, may the peace of God be upon you. May the protection of God surround you and all those you love. And may the will of God for his earth be manifested. Thank you for joining us. Hope you got something out of it. I encourage you to continue your daily prayer without ceasing, especially in these last days. Not just for your family, but for the world in general. All right? Thank you for listening. Have a beautiful day. And we'll do this again. Love you.